card ladder.
Changing gears here. This one is about building an online presence in the hobby community. So one of the ways to establish yourself in the hobby community is by building a presence online through sites like YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. But let's back up for a second, because not everyone necessarily wants to have an online presence. There are plenty of collectors who prefer to fly under the radar, and there are also some people who might not see a reason to try and build a presence online. Or maybe they do see a reason, but they feel like it's too much work. So let me start with this. Josh, you started from scratch back in 2016. You built up a significant following on YouTube and Instagram under the moniker Cardboard Chronicles. And to my knowledge, Cardboard Chronicles was the first show of its kind on YouTube, and in many ways kicked off the hobby content boom that continues to gain momentum to this day. And the show continues to set the bar high, with your recent interviews with Ezra Levine, Bob Track, and Rob Go demonstrate. So we will get to the process of how to establish a presence next. But first, I want to pose the question of why should a person build an online presence, bearing in mind, of course, that not everyone needs a presence in order to enjoy the hobby. So let me ask about why you built up a big network and following, and discuss some of the advantages and disadvantages of being in that position.
I think the initial reason I wanted to do it was just to kind of get more into the community and meet more people. The advantage, the only like real advantage I can think of is like networking. So if something comes up, someone needs a deal made, or they have a card they need placed, or they want to sell something, I generally know at least one person for almost anything that comes up, and I can find someone or I can get help. So it's pretty advantageous in those scenarios. You know, you can middleman deals and make some money, or you can, you know, find stuff you wouldn't have otherwise because people know who you are and stuff. But other than that, like, you know, I don't really see a huge need for people to rush out and have 20,000 followers. There's not really like a great end goal for having a lot of followers unless you have a plan to execute on it. So if your goal is to just get follower numbers, you know, you need to dig a little bit deeper on that.
Well said. What about disadvantages of having a big presence? And anytime you say something, it matters, and people listen to it and criticize it and analyze it, and then people ask you questions constantly and are messaging you, and, you know, talk about some of the other side of that coin as well.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned them all, like getting messaged, you know, quite a bit for questions on like, what do I buy and what's undervalued and stuff like that. That kind of stuff kind of drains on you a little bit just because there's so much of it. And yeah, like the people being overly critical of me in certain scenarios is, you know, it bothers me, but, you know, as over time you just sort of get used to it and learn to just like ignore it. I'm sure, you know, guys like Gary and people that have millions of followers, it's like 10x amplified, 20x amplified. It's just like, at a certain point, you just have to make the decision to start ignoring it, or otherwise, like, you're just going to be dealing with it all day long.
Definitely. All right, Kristina.
Yes?
You got quite an online presence yourself.
I do.
You've interviewed big hobby players like Dr. Jim Beckett and Kevin Hake of Panini America for the YouTube series Kristina's Corner.
I have.
But you also like to keep a lower profile on social media.
I do.
And insert a statement in between all my sentences.
I do.
I posed the same question to you. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of building an online presence in the hobby? Do you need me to repeat it? Were you paying attention?
You should probably repeat it.
What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of building an online presence in the hobby?
Well, I think you said it. Like, without having, no, I don't know. I really don't know. I put myself out there online, and sometimes people like it, other people do not. People who don't like it, they can go watch or annoy someone else. They don't have to talk to me. I like that. That's fine. Know your lane and stick to it. I don't know. I don't like to post my PC online because I don't know. I think that it's very personal, right? Like personal collection. But it's hard to explain why I collect certain people, or certain cards. I'm very into the art of cards, so sometimes that doesn't translate, and art is very much in the eye of the beholder. So I don't want to get like bogged down into like my PC because of that. So I post a lot of boxes that I will rip. I never really post what I have ripped after I open the packs because I don't know.
Okay, that's good. You're more of a private collector.
I am.
Yeah. Okay.
If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be online at all.
That is true. I remember encouraging you to start the Kristina's Card Store Tour posts.
Yeah.
On Instagram. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't really like it at first, but now I do.
Okay.
Because it's nice. It's like a nice little backlog of everything I've visited.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's now talk to Josh about how to build an online presence. We won't even bother with you, I don't think. Josh, suppose someone is brand new to the hobby and would like to get involved in the online community. How do you recommend that they would go about building up a presence in the online community? And you can feel free to include things to do as well as things not to do.
I think Kristina hit it on the head in her own way. She's basically saying, and this is, I'll sum it up for her. If you're gonna make content and you want followers, you have to do it your way. You have to talk about things you like. You can't fake it. You can't try to talk about topics you're not good at or you don't understand. You can't try to post stuff if you don't feel comfortable. It's really just like, I think that's what people respond to the best in the content game, is just like people who are authentic and they can just tell that's who you are. And I think that's what's, the best, that's kind of the best part about social media, is like you just kind of see who people are. And the other tidbit I pulled was when I was referencing like having higher numbers of followers isn't good, because like I get way more value out of fewer higher engaged people that I speak to. Like if I had 5 super strong friends, to relate it back to real life, if you had 5 super strong friends versus like 30 people you just knew of and you like were kind of friends with them, in your life you just get way more value out of the fewer stronger connections. So I think that applies to hobby content as well. I would be looking for those really high connected, high engagement people to be following your stuff instead of just trying to get these mass numbers.
I would agree with that. I have about probably less than 10 hobby friends that I talk to on the regular, and anyone who is my friend in the hobby knows I don't message you because I always feel awkward, because I am awkward in person. If you can't tell from like my answers to questions on the show, like I'm a very awkward person, so I keep my interactions with people like very limited. But I have
for their benefit. Yeah,
for their benefit. No, but for reals. But like I have like 2 handfuls of friends in the hobby who like they like know that, I think, because they message me and they're like, I know you're like looking at this. I'll always answer if someone messages me, but I'm awkward. I apologize. I'm just awkward.
Yeah. Now, I'm a bit the opposite of you when it comes to sharing collection, because I think sharing your collection is a really great way to, without being overtly direct, make relationships with people who might see a card that you have that they might want, or just see that you have a common interest. Maybe I remember, posting Michael Jordan inserts back in the day. That's what, in really low end stuff, nothing crazy at all, was what caused Rodman Martinez to take notice and say, oh, look, here's an MJ guy on Instagram, invite me into a group chat. And like, that really kicked off my networking experience.
That became the first secret Jordan group chat, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, it did. It did. So, and then also, finding people to follow and looking at other people using hashtags on Instagram, seeing other people who collect cards that you like to collect. It's just a great way to plug in with like-minded people, potentially find opportunity to do deals. But really, like, what a lot of us love doing is just, talking about cards and sharing collections and talking about what I'm going for next, what they're going for next, stuff like that. So I do think sharing your collection can be a gateway to that. But it also can result in a lot of annoyances and people messaging you and trying to buy stuff that you might not be trying to sell or lowballing you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. My PC is not for sale.
Right.
And you share enough of it for both of us, and I get angry sometimes when you share it because I see people be like, how much do you want for this? And I'm like, that's mine. Back up. No, but
Well, we went 24 minutes without a curse, but okay. All right, well,
you can just cut that
that's
out.
gonna do it for the show. Unless anybody has any final thoughts or final pieces. Matter of fact, let me get that from each one of you. Just one final thought, one final piece of advice for somebody. Put yourself in the shoes to the extent that you can. Somebody brand new to the hobby, brand new to the online community. What's one piece of advice that you would give them? And Kristina, you look like you're ready to go, so I'll let you go, and then I'll go, Josh.
Okay, I would tell you to be genuine in yourself and just have fun. Like, it's real life, but it's online, so it's not real life.
Okay. And Josh, what's your one piece of advice?
I was going to say be authentic, so I'll take that one first and piggyback. And the other one is to set yourself up with goals. Like, saying, like, I want a bunch of followers is not a goal. Like, what do you want from the followers, or what do you want from your presence? And so setting up a goal to actually try to achieve, I think it can really get people off on the right foot. And setting that up beforehand, not just going into it, trying to post a bunch of random stuff and trying to grab followers. I think you need to come up with, like, what's going to be your lane, what's the thing that you care about the most, what's your passion. I think Lamim is a great example of this. He stays focused in what he's doing. He has fun with it, clearly. It's something he's good at. He doesn't try to stray from it too much. And so it's a very consistent, concise. The followers that he has all are highly engaged with what he's doing because they know it's consistent and it's going to happen every day.
That's so true. In a lot of ways, Lamim started an entire niche culture in the hobby of meme making. And now there's like all these meme accounts, and they're all taking their inspiration from Lamim because he just does it so well. And it's just so authentic to him. So I think that's awesome. So, all right.
Wait, what's your final thought?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, like a piece of advice?
Like a Jerry Springer final thought?
Yeah, you know, for me, I would get...
No one
Jerry
got that. There you go. Finally, thank you.
For me, it was... there's always like this big moment of truth when you first start. And are you going to be shy and just kind of like lurk in the shadows and be a little bit miserable? Or are you just going to put yourself out there and say, look, I have 5 followers and I follow 100 people. I don't care. I'm going to post my cards. I'm going to share them. I'm going to put hashtags on them, and I'm just going to start somewhere. That's my piece of advice, is just take the risk, put yourself out there. It can be hard to do, but take the risk, put yourself out there, share some of your cards, share some of your collection, start sharing some of your thoughts, share some of your content. You're going to bump your head. You're going to make mistakes. That's fine. Be humble, grow from it, learn from it. Take the first step, and everything else kind of is going to work itself out. So that would be my advice.